friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amelia, and did I already film this video once? Yes. Was this such my head cut off? Also yes. So here we are again. Anyway, sorry, now I'm very distracted by that. But for today's video, we are going to be doing the end of year reading tag. And honestly, let's just go ahead and jump straight into it. I've already been over it, so hopefully I can relay my information better this time. We can dream. So the first question is, what are books / a book that you still need to finish before the end of the year? And I have two books that I am currently reading, so I'm going to talk about those. The first one is Never Whistle at Night. This is an Indigenous dark fiction anthology, and I'm not like super like, oh, I have to finish this by the end of the year, partially because it is a collection of short stories. So since I am at the end of one story, it's not like I'm gonna forget like what came before, as like if what here I thought this would be better the second time around. Instead I'm already lost. But anyway, I think you probably understand my point. I'm not halfway through a story, I'm partway through the collection, so I don't have to finish it this year, but I wouldn't mind doing that. And then the other book is just the one I'm currently reading. It is Royal Assassin, the second book in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. I have been going through my reread of this series for honestly kind of a while now. It's been a while since I read Assassin's Apprentice. Sorry, I'm just fucking up my bookmark because it's falling into the book. So I would like to, at the very least, complete this one before the end of the year, which should be no problem, hopefully. So next question is autumnal books for transitioning into the end of the year. So last year I just kind of talked about, in general, autumnal book suggestions. This year I'm just going to mention a couple that I am hoping to read. And it's kind of looking like a lot of rereads heading into the end of the year, as I would very much like to get to a reread of Legends and Lattes at some point. It's just been the kind of book that I've been feeling like reading, you know, short, not too heavy, got good vibes, coffee. So yeah, this is one that I wouldn't mind rereading, and I definitely feel like it has kind of cozy fall energy. And then the other one is from a series that I mentioned last year when I was answering this question, which is of course from Lord of the Rings. We have The Two Towers. This is another one where I read the first book in the trilogy for my reread a while ago. I'm pretty sure it was actually last year. So I would like to continue my reread with Two Towers, and I feel that Lord of the Rings is overall a very kind of autumnal feeling series, even though this one is like not in the Shire, it's not cozy, but it still kind of feels like an autumn read to me. All right, the next question is, what is the new release that you're still waiting for? And I feel like everybody in the fantasy community is kind of waiting for the same book, which is of course Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson, which is book 5 of the Stormlight Archive and the end of the first arc. Now you probably knew that if you're watching Fantasy Book 2, but in case you didn't, now you do. I finished, what's the one before it? Rhythm of War. Yes? Yes. Not that long ago. It was my first time reading that series, and I am definitely very excited for... Okay, for a second there I thought I had missed a book. I'm very excited for book 5. And then the other one is technically out. However, I had pre-ordered it, and then I moved, and I wasn't able to change the address that my pre-order was going to be delivered to, which Indigo, you should fix that. So it was delivered to my partner's house. Luckily he's coming to visit me tomorrow. It will be in the past for you. And he's going to bring it with him, so I will very shortly be able to get my hands on it. Have I said the name yet? I don't think so. But the book is Navigator's Children by Tad Williams, which is the final book in... What is the trilogy even called? Is it a trilogy or 4 books at this point? I think it's 4 books. Last King of Austin Ard. Wow, that took me a while. It's been 2 years since I read book 3. Luckily, Ted Williams usually puts a summary at the beginning of his books of what happened in the last ones. Normally I skip that. I think I'm probably gonna need to read it this time though, because it's been such a long time. So yeah, those are the books that I am very excited to get my hands on. And then the next question is, what are 3 books that you want to finish before the end of the year? And this question I feel very much ties into the previous question, because obviously if I'm excited for the new releases, I probably want to read them soon. And I in fact do want to read both of those books, Wind and Truth and Navigator's Children, before the end of the year. But to make it interesting, I will talk about a couple other books that I'm hoping to get to. First we have Assassin's Quest. This is book 3 in the Farseer trilogy. And yeah, I just would like to finish my reread of that series before the end of the year or in the new year. I'm not specifically super fussed, but this will be kind of probably up there on my TBR. I think that when I finish book 2, I'll probably be very eager to get into this. Although when I finish book 2, I will probably have Navigator's Children on my hands. And then by the time I finish Navigator's Children, I'll probably have a little bit of time between that and Wind and Truth to get into something else. So maybe this. And then the other book that I'm putting on this list is another thickie, because apparently I just can't help myself. And it is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This book has been sitting on my bookshelf for probably 2 years now, and so I would really like to get to it. It was a gift, and I quite enjoyed Priory of the Orange Tree. It had its flaws, but I did like the characters and the world building and her writing in general, so I would very much like to read this one. And I'm also interested in trying some of her other series that it just came out with, like a new edition that was like re-edited and stuff. I'm interested in trying that, but I want to read the book by her that I already own first. All right, and then yet another question that very much ties into the last 2 questions, which is there a book that you see wow, what did I just say? A book that could still become a favorite for the year. I think either of those 2, Navigator's Children or Wind and Truth, could definitely become favorites. A lot of the books in my pile that I'm looking at are rereads, so they might still be favorites, but they're not like new favorites, so I'm not going to count them. I don't particularly think A Day of Fallen Night is going to be like a favorite. I think I'll like it, but I don't think it's going to be a favorite, so I would probably have to stick with Navigator's Children or Wind and Truth. And out of the 2, I'm not sure which one I'm going to prefer. I've heard not good things about Sanderson's endings, so we shall have to see. I'm really hoping that it turns out good, because obviously I want a satisfying ending to the series that I've spent so many hours reading, because it's freaking long. Why are the books so goddamn long? Okay, so as I was completing my answer to the last question, I ran out of storage on my phone. Luckily, I was like finished what I was saying pretty much before it cut off, so we don't have to worry too much about that. But then I also realized that I overcompensated for cutting my head off, but you're just gonna have to live with it. I might fix it in editing as best I can. But the last question from the tag is, do you have any reading plans for 2025? And I do. They're not like specifically plans that I was like, I want to read these in 2025. They're more like just continuations of my general ongoing reading plans. I don't really segment it into years that much, other than occasionally if I'm like, okay, this is a series I definitely want to finish this year. But usually it's just kind of, you know, flowing over the year line. It doesn't care about divisions like that. But I have divided my goals into 2 topics / groups. The first group is the series that I want to finish / continue. And the first one I have is The Dragon's Legacy Saga by Deborah A. Wolfe. The next book is The Forbidden City, and this is I think a sleeper, you know? I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 stars. I think the writing is really good and the world building is very interesting, so I definitely recommend that you give it a try if you haven't or haven't even heard of it. And it's definitely a series that I want to continue next year. I did order the second book, but when it came, it had like, their pages were all messed up, like it was not cut properly, so I returned it, and then I never got around to buying it again. So And if I get some Indigo gift cards for Christmas, maybe I'll go pick up the next book. And the second is a series that I want to continue that I keep putting on my list and then I keep fading it off. And that is, of course, the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. It is a long series with long books. And I wouldn't say I'm intimidated by it. I just haven't been very inspired to read it. I think partially because I own them in mass market paperback, which is my least favorite format to read books in. So I might have to like get an e-reader and read them on that or something, but I am determined this year to at least read a couple of the books. I'm not trying to marathon the whole series, but if I could get through at least 3 minimum, preferably more, like if I could read one like every other month maybe, I feel like that would be a reasonable distance between them. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but there are a lot of other series that I do want to continue and finish, by the way. These are just some highlights. Another one that I want to finish is Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie. That's not the name of the series, that's the name of the book. The series is called The First Law, pretty sure. Somebody will fact check me in the comments, I'm sure, if that was wrong. But yeah, this is a series. I think I actually might have started it this year, maybe last year. I don't know. But I've been really enjoying it, and I have this nice edition of the last book here. I want to get the matching editions of the first 2, so I should probably do that before they stop publishing them. That always seems to happen. It's like you start collecting a series and then you don't do it fast enough and then get rid of the editions that you were buying. But yeah, that'll be the last one for continued series. And then for a series that I want to start, I would very much like to start Mistborn and just like the general rest of Sanderson's catalog. I don't know that I need to read everything in his catalog, but probably most of it I would be interested in reading. Not saying I'm going to read it all next year, but that's something that I want to start getting more into. And then the other series that I'm really interested in reading is, I think it's called Sun Eater by Christopher, I don't remember what his last name is, something with an R. I should have looked it up and written it down before I started filming this. That would have been smart, especially after the last time when I couldn't remember and I still didn't look it up. Big brain. But yeah, that is the plans so far. I don't typically make like set in stone solid plans because you gotta go where your heart takes you with reading. And then finally, this is not a question from the tag, but I did just want to add a little question of my own, which is, did you finish your book bingo? And I didn't get like a full blackout, but I did get 2 bingos. And there are, you know, a couple of possibilities to get at least 1 more before the end of the year, so I might aim to do that. But I will not be getting a blackout, mostly because this little guy is for reading 75 books, and I'm currently at 59, so the odds of me reading another 15 books before the end of the year are verging on impossible. So yeah, that's probably not gonna happen. But yeah, that is the end of the questions and my additional question. So that is all that I have time for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.